You're tuned in to a one-take
podcast.
What is going on, guys? All right, welcome to the Going for Two Press Coverage Fantasy Football Podcast, Episode 4. I'm your host, Jeff Lambert. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. That's Jeff spelled Geoff. We have a great show today. I have a guest on today. He's a friend of mine. Avid fantasy football player, avid daily fantasy football player, known him for years, trust his opinion on sports and fantasy. So his name is Shane, and he will be joining us today to talk about all the upcoming games in Week 4, maybe a little bit of a review of the week past, and we'll touch on all the games coming up this week and the fantasy relevance from a season-long perspective and a daily fantasy perspective. So let's go ahead and get this commercial out the way, and after the break, we will be with Shane.
Going for Two, your number one source for fantasy sports with top-notch fantasy sports advice, an exclusive community forum, and some of the best and most knowledgeable writers in fantasy sports. Visit today at going42.com. That's going4,2.com. Going for Two features NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, and more. And they also provide the best advice for your FanDuel, DraftKings, or daily fantasy sports site. Sign up for the Going for Two newsletter and get updates immediately through your email. And while you're on the site, make sure you check out the exclusive section, Why I Hate. That's going42.com, GOINGFOR2. Going42.com. Go visit and get the inside scoop of everything fantasy sports.
All right, welcome back, guys. I'm here with Shane. Got Shane on the phone, and we're gonna go game by game and just kind of touch on all the fantasy relevant information on each game. Shane, are you there?
What's going on, Jeff?
What's up? All right, well, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Of course, we got the Thursday night game, which I'm sure when the schedule makers kind of made this the schedule, they were thinking it was going to be this great, game where both teams might be undefeated or 2-1. But coming in, we got the Ravens at 0-3, and of course the Steelers now are going to be without Ben Roethlisberger. How much do you think Antonio Brown takes a hit with Michael Vick as his quarterback?
It's going to be a huge hit. I mean, if I'm the Steelers, I'm okay with having a veteran QB that's my backup in this day and age in the NFL. But we got to keep in mind, I mean, Vic, he's only had 8 touchdowns since 2012. And in my firm belief, Vic is also injury-proof. He's not the same Vic he was 10 years ago when he was an all-star with the Falcons. I think Brown's going to take a huge hit because, I mean, if we remember, we go back to that preseason game, I believe it was Marcus Wheaton. I think he was Vic's favorite target, even if it was one throw. Brown's going to take a huge hit because it's going to just leave the way for Le'Veon Bell. I mean, if Tomlin's smart, I'm running the ball all game. I'm trying to keep the ball in Vic's hands as much as possible. Even in Vic's career, he's had multi-interception seasons. I know Tomlin is, the Steelers are going to want to run the ball. They got an all-star running back, and I think this is going to be the weekend that they're going to have to put him to use.
Yeah.
So if I'm an Antonio Brown user, I'm being very hesitant on starting him, and just going from there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Vic is definitely a turnover machine. He's definitely older, and his athletic ability just it's not there anymore. I think he thinks it's still there, and he's going to try to do things that he probably can't do anymore. I think as far as Antonio Brown, I think you're starting him because you have to, because you don't have any better options. You wasted a first-round pick on him. I think you're just going to have to weather the storm. I do see a lot of short passes. I mean, Antonio Brown, going into this season was probably one of the best, yards after catch guys in the league. I think he led the league last year in yards after catch. They throw a lot of quick screens to him and just let him do his thing. I think you're going to see a lot of that. And you mentioned Le'Veon Bell. You think he gets a sort of an uptick in value? I mean, I don't know how you could uptick a guy that would have gone number 1 overall if he wasn't suspended, but you think we see a little bit more Le'Veon Bell?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I just can't see. I can't see the Steelers' passing game being what it was without Big Ben. I mean, this, like I said, I mentioned earlier. I mean, this isn't the same Michael Vick. If I'm a Steelers fan, I'm holding my breath every time he drops back. I mean, he still has an arm. Don't get me wrong. From even the throws he was making during the preseason, I mean, the guy still has an arm. But I mean, this is also a guy who had a 68.3 QB rating on the Jets, and only threw for a few touchdowns, like 3 touchdowns in 10 games. So I'm not very confident in Vic, marching him down the field. But we've seen other weird things happen this season. It's been a crazy season, in my opinion. But if I'm Antonio Brown owners, I'm holding my breath. I'm Le'Veon Bell owners, I am literally ecstatic this weekend because I think Bell's going to be a bulk of that offense this weekend.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. And the Ravens' defense is not the same as it was when Terrell Suggs was there. They've since struggled. All right, looking over at the Ravens side, is there any receivers or anyone on the team, actually, besides Steve Smith that we're comfortable starting? It doesn't seem like anybody wants to step up over there. You've got their tight end, whose name escapes me right now, Crockett Gilmore. We got Flacco, Justin Forsett struggling. Is there anybody that that you'd be comfortable starting this week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, whose defense actually hasn't been very good?
I mean, outside of Steve Smith, honestly, no. I mean, coming into this season, with Rashad Perryman, I was kind of looking at him to even take Torrey Smith's role. But in all honesty, I want to start Justin Forsett. I mean, where has he been? I mean, this is a guy that posted over 1,200 rushing yards last season at 5.54 yards a carry, 5.4 yards a carry. And I wanted to start him. And, coming in, the Ravens were ecstatic. I mean, they had one of the best, most consistent running backs in the league, and we just haven't seen him. So Steve Smith is their offense. I know as far as my fantasy squad goes on DraftKings and FanDuel, I've got Steve Smith in a lot of my lineups this week.
Yeah,
he's from Monday, Thursday slate, and even for just the prime slate, the Thursday, Sunday games. Steve Smith's their offense. He's a veteran, and he's honestly just marching them down the field. He's what's making them tick right now.
Yeah,
I'm not confident in anybody else.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't think, unless you're playing in like a really deep league, like a 14-team or a 16-team league, I don't see Flacco being viable. I don't see their tight end. I don't see any of the receivers they have, Kamar Aiken or. Just Steve Smith seems to be it. Now, you mentioned Rashad Perryman. You think we see him in the next couple of weeks? I mean, I heard that he was running routes before the games this past weekend, but then I heard that he actually tweaked his injury, his hamstring again, during warm-up. So you think it's going to be a nagging injury that's going to last him all year? You think we ever see him on the field?
When you're a team that's starting the season off like this, I guess you kind of got to change up the offense. So I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, just pending that injury, I mean, the Ravens have to try something. If Forsett's not going to, get it going, they have to rely on someone rather than Steve Smith. The defenses are just going to pick up on that, and the Ravens are going to be kind of screwed out of their offense. So I honestly wouldn't doubt it. In all honesty, I mean, they're going to try. They're going to try. They have to try something different because whatever they're doing is obviously not working. I mean, hey, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Or if it's broken, don't fix it. But I'm saying Steve Smith can't do it all.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not, in my opinion, Steve Smith's a great vet, but he's not that all-star receiver out there. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think we saw a little bit of that last year, too. I think he started off the year with a bang, and then towards the end of the season, he tapered off. I mean, he is, I don't even know what his age is, 35, 36. He's up there in age for sure. This is going to be his last season, so I don't know if he can carry the load for the entire season or not. We're going to have to see some of those younger guys step up eventually. Forsett's going to have to get it going and to figure out their offensive line and just, hopefully turn things around. But 0-3 definitely does not bode well for the Ravens.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
All right, well, moving on to the next game here, we got the surprisingly good Jets at the surprisingly not good Dolphins. I definitely did not see this one coming. The Jets are definitely better than I thought they would be. Dolphins, I was very high on them in the preseason. I had Tannehill ranked high. I had Lamar Miller ranked high. I had Jarvis Landry ranked high. I had their defense potentially being the best defense in the AFC. And man, so far I've been way off. Are we worried about any of the fantasy options? The Jarvis Landrys, the Lamar Millers, the Ryan Tannehills? Like, are you worried as an owner, or you think it's just, preseason getting things, early season getting things sort of settled in and they'll be okay going forward?
See, the thing with the Dolphins, I feel that they have so much talent, and Jarvis Landry, in my opinion, I look at him as being literally one of the next great receivers. I mean, they have such talent, they have such weapons around them, but Tannehill also can't turn the ball over, and none of that's even going to matter. I mean, Tannehill led the way against the Bills with 297 yards. We really haven't seen much of Lamar Miller because of how injured he's been this season, but I'm not giving up on the Dolphins, in all honesty. Like, I really don't want to give up on them. I don't think they're going to have that great of a season, but if we look at it in a fantasy aspect, if they're going to keep getting embarrassed like they did against the Bills, there's obviously going to be room for jump time points. So as a fantasy owner, I'm not totally giving up on this team, especially, with Rashard Matthews getting touches, and, I'd like to see some more out of Devontae Parker as well. I think it's just a little too early. If any team in the NFL could bounce back, I honestly want to believe in the Dolphins. I mean, I was there in anger when they beat the Redskins and they came back 17 points. I know it's against my boys and everything, but I mean, they still led the way and came back. I just think they have the talent. I think they have the defensive talent, and they've got some weapons on offense. Now, I wouldn't so much probably bank on Lamar Miller this year because it seems like they're definitely going with a pass-happy offense. Not sure if that's just because of, Lamar Miller's injury and everything else. I'm sure it is. But Tannehill he can throw the ball. He's turning it over, obviously, but once he gets in his rhythm, he's on.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't totally count them out, personally.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think, good point with the junk time. I mean, perfect example is Ryan Tannehill. This past weekend in the league that me and you were both in, I have Ryan Tannehill as my starter. And even though as an NFL game, he was not that great, as a fantasy, he still got me 19.5 points. So you'll take that from your quarterback any day of the week. So I think junk time points are definitely there. I do think they can turn it around. It does kill me that they don't run the ball any more than they should. Even last year, I wrote an article in the preseason about the Dolphins talking about Lamar Miller. And Pro Football had them their offensive line ranked dead last in run blocking, yet Lamar Miller averaged 5.4 yards per carry, which was second in the league. So behind the worst running offensive line, he still averaged 5.4 yards per carry. I don't know why they don't run him more. I can't figure it out. I mean, granted, he's been injured, so it might have something to do with it, but even if he's out, I mean, they have Damian Williams, they have Jonas Gray that they signed from the New England, and they're just not running the ball. I don't know what the deal is there.
Hopefully they can figure it out, because I think Lamar Miller's a stud, and I think if they can get him going, he might be a good fantasy option.
Agreed. Now you had mentioned Rashard Matthews. You think he's legit going forward? I actually just did my breakout or fake out article on goingfor2.com, and I brought up the fact that he has led the Dolphins in receivings in all 3 games this year, and he's the only wide receiver to have a touchdown, and he's got 3 of them. Is Rashard Matthews legit, you think?
I'm still not sold on him. I mean, if he continues to play like that, obviously, but I guess I'm going against my own word. Like, coming into this season, I was really thinking Devontae Parker was going to be the star of that team. Obviously Jarvis Landry would be the number one go-to, but I was the same guy that if I had to rank all the receivers, Matthews would have been at the bottom. But hey, who knows? Maybe he is the real deal. Like I said, if Tannehill can keep it going and average 250 to 300 yards a game, then the answer may be yes. I mean, it all comes down to how that offense is going to react. They're 1-2 after week 3. They just got embarrassed by the Bills. They were down 27-0 at one point. He could be the answer, but regardless how fantasy works, doesn't really matter the score. I mean, it kind of favors the team